All right, this is big time. This is probably the last broadcast. This is probably the last broadcast before the holiday. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. I'm an American. I'm a Christian. Merry Christmas. All right, coming at you with some more defensive gun uses. Link in the description of the source. We're just going to try to get right into it today. Got two defensive gun uses, which is what my channel covers, which is when a gun is used to defend life or protect life. The website I use is in the description as well. So let's just get right into the story. Apparently signs don't save lives. But then again, given the fact that we have the No Child Left Behind, people can't read. So not really sure what to say. But this was at Amazon. Yeah, some crazy guy broke in, didn't read the no gun free zone sign, and an Amazon worker who believes in the Second Amendment saved the life. Here we go.
A normally busy Amazon warehouse less than 2 weeks before Christmas. Now a crime scene.
I heard just a pop, 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 pop.
Brighton Bobbitt was in his delivery van in the Amazon warehouse parking lot when the shooting started.
As soon as I saw employees running, I just put my van in drive and got out of here as quickly as I could.
Chandler police say a man drove into the parking lot Wednesday morning and opened fire.
That I went across the street to the Circle K. Once I got there, I was like, okay, I'm safe.
The shooter hit an Amazon contract employee with multiple shots. Police say he's expected to survive but had life-threatening injuries. A sign at the parking lot says no weapons allowed, but a third...
Oh, damn. You mean this sign didn't protect anybody? Whew, that's crazy. But I mean, the way they just allow people to just graduate school, you know, and honestly, I don't know why the sign isn't in Spanish. That's the problem. You need to have it in more languages.
Third person, also an Amazon contract worker, was in the parking lot, pulled out his own gun, and shot back, killing the shooter.
He did come to an aid of an individual who was being shot by our suspect. So in that case, I would say he is a good Samaritan.
From Sky 12, you can see the huge hole in the window of...
There you go. A good guy with a gun. So the police weren't there. Amazon's didn't have any armed security to protect you. You had to protect yourself. But I'm sure Amazon will fire this guy because they have a no gun policy. And depending on if they have a Soros-funded DA, they'll put this guy in prison. Oh, you defended yourself? Jail.
Of what police say is the shooter's car. Evidence markers all over the ground. Workers evacuated from the warehouse. Chandler police say they don't know why the guy started shooting, but they're looking into whether he could have had bigger plans.
We don't know what our mindset of our shooter was. It's very likely, though, that the contract employee who returned fire on the shooter could have stopped an active shooter.
An Amazon spokesman sent a statement saying the company was saddened by what happened and saying they were cooperating with investigators. Amazon said the warehouse closed for the day and employees were sent home with pay.
But I bet they won't hire armed security, right? Guys, guns are racist. The Second Amendment's a construct of white supremacy. All right, we got another one coming out of New York City.
A new details this noon regarding an MTA worker who opened fire after being threatened by a man police described as emotionally disturbed. It happened last night at the Union Street subway station in Brooklyn. CBS News' Elijah Westbrook has the very latest and right a reaction from Park Slope.
It's a little bizarre because the neighborhood is really safe, so I was a little shocked.
But the neighborhood is really safe. White liberals and black mammies always talking about the root cause. Well, denial is the root cause of every mental illness. And we're going to show why this woman is just living with her head in the sand.
The neighborhood is really safe, so I was a little shocked.
But the attack had nothing to do with this Park Slope neighborhood. The altercation stems just a stop away at Atlantic Avenue Barclays Center. It's where police say two on-duty uniformed MTA employees, one serving as a mechanic for MetroCard machines, the other a transit revenue collector, were verbally attacked by an emotionally disturbed man.
While they were waiting for the train, a male approached them, engaged them in a verbal dispute. The male became irate and began to threaten to beat them up.
And investigators say the two MTA employees hopped onto a southbound R train to escape the man, but he continued to follow. Well, in an attempt to further avoid confrontation, the two MTA workers got off right here at the Union Street subway stop. They say they were still followed by that suspect. That's when one of them pulled out a gun and shot him in the chest.
Good. Look, man, New York City is a duty to retreat. The guy was threatening. They got on a subway. The guy followed him. They got off the subway. The guy followed him. Enough. If it took a hollow point to stop, oh, that's just what it took, you know? And they'll blame mental health. And I'm sure that guy will be let out of jail the next day. And the MT worker who defended himself, he'll be fired, you know, because guns are evil, right? Governor Hochul?
EMS transported the 39-year-old male to Methodist Hospital, where he's currently listed in critical condition. The two MTA employees were not physically injured during this incident.
We've learned the suspect is
Yeah, they weren't physically injured because the one MTA guy defended himself. Yeah, there, I fixed it for you, officer.
39 years old, and he's well known to NYPD for his prior arrests. The MTA says the armed transit collection worker is a 21-year veteran on the job. He's among more than 270 armed workers who assist other employees while the MetroCard vending machines are being worked on.
Oh, so when they're getting the money, they're allowed to have guns. But all these people aren't allowed to protect themselves. Oh, I see how it is. What's it like to get bent over by your state? What's that like?
As commuters move about the day, they tell me incidents like these don't surprise them any longer.
I mean, this is New York, it's Brooklyn. I've been here 30 plus years, so I've seen all sorts of things come and go.
Here I'm fine, but you know, the subway system itself is just a mess.
The suspect.
But wait, the subway system is just a mess. What did you just say?
I'm sorry, because the neighborhood is really safe.
Did she contradict herself in the same video? Oh my gosh. All right. So we got a couple New York subway stories here in case everyone forgets. So let's cover this one. Let's see how safe the subway is.
Now to that disturbing video of a man shoved onto the subway tracks in Bushwick. You see the suspect waiting on one side of the platform.
You see the black guy there. I fixed it for you.
Before he rushed a rider and sent him flying onto the tracks. Thankfully, he was not hit by a train, but he told us he's traumatized and dealing now with a broken collarbone. He spoke with our Sonia Rincon.
I mean, that's enough. One more I got to show you. All right. And then we had man accused of beating an MTA worker in the Bronx. Let me pull that one up. Let's see if they call him black. Let's see. I bet they don't.
42nd time today, Alexander Wright is appearing for an arraignment in a New York City courtroom.
42nd time. This guy's been in front of a judge 41 times and he's still out. Man, you fucking up.
These images of the 49-year-old
But who'd you vote for?
are from a high-profile hate crime arrest last year in Manhattan. This time, he's accused of beating up a subway worker in the Bronx.
To the district attorney, I hope that she throws the book at this guy who viciously attacked their employee. This has been going on too much.
It was last Thursday at the Pelham Bay Station that cleaner Anthony Nelson went to investigate complaints from commuters that Wright was allegedly harassing them when he allegedly attacked, breaking bones in his face and collarbone.
We're tired of amnesty for EDPs. We feel that this...
Man, your neck looked like it's tired of holding up your head. Damn, bro. Do some cardio. What the fuck?
Repetitive abuse and assaults is just running rampant, and something needs to be done about it.
From his hospital bed, Nelson said he'd do it again. The suspect is homeless and has a history of alleged attacks on innocent New Yorkers, according to sources. Wright reportedly was just released from Rikers Island this.
But thank God he's being arrested by an Asian guy. Thank God. If it was a white person holding that guy's hand like that, racism. Thank God we have diverse cops who can finally stop black people, because apparently whites aren't allowed to arrest blacks anymore.
This summer after a horrific hate crime in Chinatown in May of 2021. He allegedly sucker punched an Asian woman just walking down the street. The mayor joined union workers.
But I thought black people can't be racist, yo. All right, we got another one. So as you can see, the New York subway is just a wonderful place. Here's another one.
Police are looking for this man, wanted for zeroing in on the victim you see in this surveillance video. They were underground inside the East 149th Street and Southern Boulevard subway station in the Bronx. Watch here as the suspect moves in the victim.
Holy shit. Did you see that? Look at that.
As the suspect
Yo, I would have already had my hand on my gun. If I saw that shit and you were coming at me, my hand is already on my gun. In the subway tracks, no way, bro. But thank God we live in Pennsylvania, because you can take the subway and carry.
moves in the victim's direction and then pulls back. The second time, police say he followed through and pushed the victim off the platform onto the tracks.
It's crazy.
Ronald Leslie was at the subway station with his little girl before the incident.
Matter of fact, that didn't happen when my daughter got off the train, but that happened after we got off.
Police say it happened yesterday, just before noon. Detectives say the victim was standing on the northbound platform of the 6 train when he was pushed. The NYPD calling the suspect a total stranger to the victim, and police say it was total strangers, eyewitnesses, also waiting for the train, who saved the victim from being hit by a fast approaching train.
So other people stepped in to save him. Well, that's good. That's really good. At least some people are still decent people. And of course, I covered this one yesterday, but it just kind of proves my point, because they talk about it's been 4 attacks in a week. Oh, my mistake. This guy hit a person in the head with a hammer. And the news tells you how many people are there.
Recovering after being attacked early this morning.
Yeah, that's right. The suspect arrested after police say he made his way into a dispatch room. A frightening situation. Fox 5's Reagan Medji live in the West Village with the details. Good morning, Reagan.
Yeah, good morning, guys. Yeah, you said it. A 51-year-old MTA worker attacked while on the job inside the dispatch area here at the 8th Avenue, 14th Street subway station. Let's take a look at some video into the newsroom. And this is what police are saying, that it happened at 1:45.
Yeah, okay. So there he is. And of course, you know, they won't say black.
This is what police are saying, that it happened at 1:45 this morning. The suspect, a 29-year-old man, and
A 29-year-old black man who apparently forgot how to walk. So he got no physical issues grabbing a hammer and beating someone to death. But as soon as he's caught, oh, now suddenly, oh, guys, oh, my legs don't work.
entering the MTA dispatch office. That's when the MTA worker confronted him. Words were exchanged. The suspect then grabbed a hammer and struck the 51-year-old in the head and took off, hiding underneath a train inside the subway station that was stopped. Police were able to locate, according to the New York Post. This is the 4th time an MTA worker was attacked while on the job within the past week. Last Friday, a subway worker was attacked at the Coney Island subway station by an alleged drunken banker.
And that banker was released on no bail.
Then this past Sunday, a very, very crowded area at Times Square, well, subway station there, 2 MTA workers were attacked, one punched in the face, the other one kicked in the leg while he was taking.
So just bringing you some New York crime. As you can see, the New York subway is just out of control. And Governor Hochul still says you're not allowed to defend yourself. And yet I've already shown you 2 instances where when people had a gun, boom, done. It should be a simple thing to understand. Don't push people on subway tracks. Don't stalk people. Don't follow people. And again, it's like, New York City has no problem letting their workers carry. Hey, when it comes to that money, oh, they got no problem with guns then. All right, and on our last segment of They're Coming for the Kids. This isn't a reason to get the fuck out of California. I don't know what is coming from you from the Daily Mail. And I'm going to take my time reading this one. DailyMail.com probe reveals 400 pedophile dens in California house up to 18 sex predators living together just blocks away from schools. One $1 million home with tennis court has 6 men convicted of the most heinous crimes. DailyMail.com has discovered more than 400 pedophile dens of up to 18 sexual predators, all living at the same California address. An analysis of a government database of California sex offenders reveals that almost 2,000 convicted pedophiles are living together in groups of 3 or more at 442 locations across the state. Some of the pedophile dens are a little more than a block away from schools. Law enforcement and current and former prosecutors of sex crimes told DailyMail.com the dens could be dangerous. That's a big deal, said Nate Seeger, president of the Sacramento County Sacramento County Deputy Sheriff's Association. These guys and gals have addictions, and to put them anywhere near a temptation is not serving them, and it's not serving the kids. God, what a fucking... It's not serving them. Again, oh, the poor criminal. It's terrifying. Your numbers truly, truly frighten me, said former Deputy District Attorney Sam Dordulian, who prosecuted sex crimes in the LADA's office. If they're all congregating with each other, it's just creating the environment for more of these crimes to occur. Even if they're trying to stay clean. See how they're in an environment where they're around other pedophiles. They're going to be talking about children having child porn available. Well, then it should be easy to bust in and put them back in prison, right? And it's just creating a situation where you're almost sure there's going to be another offense. Yeah, so here's a nice map. Here's the pedo den. Here's a school here. Youth charter school here. Wow, who are these wonderful guys? Oh, a pirate. 9 years in prison for continuous sexual abuse of a child, out in 2021. 1999, oral copulation with a minor under 14 years of age by force or fear, 5 counts of assaulting a police officer with a deadly weapon. Lewd or lascivious acts with a child under 14 years of age. They live together with other convicted pedophiles in a $1 million 6-bed home, Wilbur Avenue. DailyMail.com obtained and analyzed a copy of the Megan's Law database of registered sex offenders in California. The database contains records of 58,685 sex offenders, including 43,007, or 73%, who have been convicted of sex crimes involving children. By comparing these pedophiles' addresses, the shocking picture emerged. Hundreds of homes across the state where groups of child sex offenders were living, often near to schools. DailyMail.com also spoke to residents of the dens and even got a tour of one property housing several pedophiles. One property on Elm Avenue in Long Beach is home to 16 pedophiles, according to the Megan's Law database. Bobby Smith Elementary is just 2 blocks away. One resident, David Edwin Kelly, convicted of lewd or lascivious acts with a child under 14 years of age in 2007 and was released in 2018. Bernard Stover, 1990, convicted of continuous sexual abuse of a child, served 4 years in prison. Jeremy Dante Deloney, convicted 2019, pimping children 2 years later. Wood chipper, motherfucker. Wood chipper or on the wall. Sex offenders whose crimes involve children under 14 who have been specifically designated as high risk by the state are prohibited from living within half a mile of schools. Well, it has to be on purpose. My opinion, they got all this money. They're being all put in the same place. It's on purpose. Somebody knows. I think it's a way to get back at the charter school. That's my personal opinion. Charter schools and Christian schools and Catholic schools aren't being forced by the state to teach the gender spectrum bullshit, the mental psychosis they're trying to teach your kids. So this is a way, I think, of getting back at your kids. And you're never going to win anything in California. You need to get the fuck out of there. But if you come to my state, Pennsylvania, don't fuck it up. Okay? What does that say? A home meal on 10th Avenue in San Diego houses 14 pedophiles and is 1,000 feet from Urban Discovery Academy Charter, a kindergarten through 8th grade school. Resident David Mendez, 64, is registered there on the Megan's Law database. He was in prison for 17 years and released in 2016 for continuous sexual abuse of a child, sexual penetration of victim with a foreign object by force, rape by force or fear. John Flieger, 47, was released from prison in 2016 after 5 years for sodomy by force, violence, fear. 5 years for doing this to a kid. Lewd or lascivious acts with a child 14 or 15 years of age. Well, thank God for Scott Wiener, who's also a pedophile. Thank God he runs California, right? He made giving HIV to people a misdemeanor. He made having sodomy with a child now is a misdemeanor. It's almost like pedos look out for other pedos. Interesting. Birds of a feather. Looks like birds of a feather fuck children, huh? $1 million property on Wilbur Avenue in North Ridge with a tennis court in the backyard is home to 6 pedophiles with some of the most heinous crimes in the statute books. Troy Guerin spent 9 years in prison for continuous sexual abuse of a child. He got out in 2021. Kenneth Parks, 72, was convicted of oral copulation with a minor under 14 years of age or by force of fear. John Andrews, 35. John Sharp, 55. Daniel Valdez and Jason Lucia, 30. Pedophile. That's it. Pedophile. All committed lewd or lascivious acts with a child under 14. The home is less than 2,000 feet from Callahan Street Elementary School, 2,500 feet from Options for Youth Charter School. So it's their house, huh? Tennis court. A fucking tennis court. So you fuck children and you get to live in $1 million home with a tennis court. Boy, Scott Wiener just loves his pedophile. California and Scott Wiener the Democrats just love their pedophiles, huh? Dordulian, a veteran pedophile prosecutor who now represents victims of sex crimes, told DailyMail.com that letting predators congregate in homes could raise their risk of reoffending. Wow. Yeah. These guys all have their own little networks, especially online and sadly on the dark web. Then it shouldn't be hard to bust them, should it? It wouldn't be surprising to me if they could all tell each other, well, you're looking for a place. This is the place to come to. And that's how they all end up congregating. A lot of these guys look at child porn. If there's that available, and one shows it to the other, they're going to bring those compulsions back for these guys, making it more likely that they're going to go out and recommit. The kind of situation is going to create an environment where these pedophiles are going to have much greater opportunity because no one's monitoring them. It's terrifying. Well, maybe you should have just kicked them out of the country. That would have been easier. Some of the addresses where the greatest numbers of pedophiles registered were homeless shelters, halfway houses, or sober living facilities, often used by recently released convicts. The Weingart Center, a Los Angeles homeless shelter, has 25 pedophiles registered there, the most in the state. A halfway house called A Place of Comfort on the city's Normandy Avenue is home to 24 predators, according to the Megan's Law database. But many others were seemingly normal residential properties, like an 8-bed, 2,700 square foot property on Walnut Avenue in Long Beach, which houses 17 pedophiles, or a 5-unit apartment building in Orange Avenue in the city with 4 pedophiles that is less than 1,000 feet from Franklin Classical Middle School. DailyMail.com asked the California Sex Offender Management Board, an office set up by the governor to monitor sex offenders, about these predator group homes. California is pro-pedo, bro. Board coordinator Leah Chonkin responded that California does not classify individuals on the registry as pedophiles and pointed to one of the 2016 reports which said for many years CASOMB has recommended against adopting or continuing residence restrictions in California for sex offenders. Oh. Let me read that again. Board coordinator Leah Chankin responded that California does not classify individuals on the registry as pedophiles and pointed out to one of their 2016 reports which said for many years CASOMB the California Sex Offender Management Board has recommended against adopting or continuing residence restrictions in California for sex offenders. So they're pro-pedo. There you go. While the mission of the here's the excuse. While the mission of the California Sex Offender Management Board is to address issues, concerns, and problems related to managing adult sex offenders in the community, the board cannot comment on your analysis of data from the California Department of Justice. Without reviewing the data and understanding the collection methods, any interpretation will be lacking context. She did not respond to an offer to share the data. A spokeswoman for the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation said the penal code stipulated all registered sex offender parolees shall not reside in a single-family dwelling with any other sex offender, whether or not they are on parole, unless they are related by blood, marriage, or adoption. So they're breaking the law. They don't care. They're pro-pedo. DailyMail.com interviewed homeowners and led tenants at homes where up to 6 pedophiles shared a room together. A spokesperson for the California Department of Justice, which administers the Megan's Law database, previously admitted to DailyMail.com that they were aware of predators' group homes. Because it can be difficult for folks to find housing, it's not unusual for them to group together if they find a place that works. Way to fucking just deconstruct. Oh, so it's the housing market's fault, right? It's not the pedophile's fault for being a fucking pedophile. It's because we have a housing. Get the fuck out of here. In the statement last month, the department said the issue was for district attorneys, courts, and state legislators to deal with, but added that it has human trafficking and sexual predator apprehension teams, which is appropriate, regularly work with local authorities to protect public safety. Your fucking children are public safety. Robin Sachs, a former Los Angeles County Deputy District Attorney who prosecuted pedophiles, said probation officers may even work with offenders to find these homes. So there's a pattern, and so there's a paper trail. Right. So in other words, there's evidence. They're just not looking at it. One property on Elm Avenue in Long Beach is home to 16 pedophiles. According to the Megan's Law database, Bobby Smith Elementary is 2 blocks away. There's a lot of limitations on where sex offenders can live. You can't be within so many yards of a park or a school, places where kids congregate. So here's a charter school. 14 pedophiles live 1,000 feet from it. Kindergarten through 8th grade school. It gets pretty limited theoretically where these people can go. It doesn't surprise me necessarily that you'd find clusters of areas where sex offenders congregate. Okay, so you have a problem and everybody's just passing the fucking buck. Oh yeah, they're pedophile. Yeah, it's hard to find housing. No, you let them out of prison and then you put your head up your ass and don't do anything. If there's a registered sex offender and they have a parole officer and they're trying to figure out where to live, and the parole officer knows that they have 5 more clients that have been able to successfully get houses in this particular area, that may provide some of the rationale as to how these people ended up in the same area. But you just said up here, your California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation, your penal code stipulates all registered sex offender parolees shall not reside in a single family dwelling with any other sex offender, whether or not they are on parole, unless they are related by blood, marriage, or adoption. I mean, is that your fucking law or isn't it? But apparently when you're talking to all these people, it's no surprise they live together. We have a housing crisis. The one thing that would be a massive concern is that we know that the movement of exchanging child pornography is done in a group format. That's how images are shared. There is great concern of people in clusters operating with the same illnesses. Oh, it's an illness. Fucking kids is an illness now. Oh, okay. Oh, it's never their fault, is it? Just like when black people commit copious amounts of violent crime. Oh, guys, the culture, slavery, redlining, post-traumatic slave disorder. It's just never their fucking fault, is it? It's unclear how prevalent pedophile dens are in other states, as DailyMail.com was only able to obtain detailed offender data from the California Megan's Law database. Solutions in other states have included housing convicts of sex crimes in their own colonies. Right. Away from everybody else. Right. So you segregate them. Why even keep them in the country? Children have to be protected. There has to be a line drawn for who you protect in your society. If you're not even going to protect children, then we don't have a society. Some California landlords receive cash from the state. Oh, man. For housing pedophiles and other sex offenders in normal communities. According to a 2010 report by the Orange County Register, landlords receive $1,500 monthly stipend through a CDCR program. One apartment complex owner in Almitos Beach was reportedly packing up to 6 parolees in each unit, causing single women and families to flee from the risk. Oh, but that's profiling. The CDCR said it still has a limited policy of paying rent for some parolees. DailyMail.com spoke to a manager at one Long Beach property, himself a convicted pedophile who lives there with 7 other child sex offenders. Pedophile Thomas Rose, 69, convicted in 2007 of lewd acts with an under 14 and has lived in the apartment block on West Wardlow Road since his release from prison in 2014, so 7 years. Rose said the CDCR doesn't pay his tenants rent anymore, but regularly places sex offenders in the 4-apartment building he manages. 2 of our apartments are considered transitional housing. It's a place where people try to put their lives back together, have a steady shop, shower, and prepare food. Parole knows we have open beds, and then if they have someone who needs a bed, parole will send them in this direction. Rose said he began managing the property soon after he arrived when he impressed the owner by doing repair work. He said clusters of pedophiles are the result of restrictions on where they can live and landlords' reluctance to house them. Well, geez, I wonder why. Right, so it's not the pedophile's fault. Right. It's everybody else's fault because they just don't let them live where they want. Part of the concentration thing you're talking about is because of the limitations on where people can live. In those little areas that meet all those requirements, distances from schools, parks, those little areas become enclaves. I get the concept of protecting people, but at the same time, there seems to be no concept of forgiveness. Rose said he was proud of the property. I get the, wow. Bro, I'm not going to Fed post, but I would never, I wouldn't blame a parent for, I mean, wasn't there a guy I just read about, some guy pimped out children and got 2 years? I mean, follow the laws of your municipality, but I wouldn't blame parents for just, I wouldn't blame parents if they took it into their own hands. 11 years in prison, pedophile, Eugene Hargrove, 11 years in prison until 1992 for the rape of a woman and forced oral copulation. Now they pay $675 per month in this nice-ass house. 2 in a sparse room and single beds, all sharing the kitchen and living room. So they're giving homes and some form of like subsidized housing to pedos in California. Wow. Wow. So this guy spent 7 years, 11 years for raping a woman. And this is what he gets to come home to. Wow. Wow, bro. Wow. Oh yeah, I'm sure they yeah, again, here we go. See? This is like the Amazon story. Guys, we don't need to actually enforce the law. We just got to give them a pamphlet. Hey, this pamphlet says don't rape kids. Oh, well, problem solved. What's this? Preschool, half a block away. I run a pretty tight ship here. There are other facilities that are not quite as maintained. Bed bugs, people doing drugs, people having overnight guests, female or male that shouldn't be there, alcohol consumption. The only thing that's problematic with neighbors is kids. Oh. Those damn kids, man. They're problematic. Listen to this. The only thing that's problematic with neighbors is kids will be playing with their balls and they come over the fence. Oh my God, it writes itself. We just pick them up and throw them back. I've never had any problem with the neighbors about our being here. It's because they don't know. There's no restrictions. You can have kids living right next door. Although CDCR said any single family dwelling cannot house more than one sex offender, Rose said they have many more. We're cramming 5 or 6 guys together into one apartment. They all have different work hours, different foods they like to eat, and they're all trying to use the same kitchen. And you're getting paid a certain amount of money. If there's issues that I have to deal with, then I have to deal with those. You've got several people living together in a single apartment. They're going to get on each other's nerves, same as anybody else. But they're not the same as anybody else. They're pedos. I don't give a fuck. Some houses and apartments are classed by CDCR as a residential facility like transitional housing where the limit does not apply. Rose said the only limit he was aware of was 6 parolees at any one address, which could mean a single apartment. Residents include Antonio Cruz, convicted in another pedo, 2004, lewd or lascivious acts with a child under 14, and again in 2018 of possessing over 600 child porn images, including victims under 12. Get on the fucking wall. There are 4 other sex offenders sharing one apartment with Cruz, including another pedophile, Luis Guerrero, 50, convicted in 2005 of continuous sexual abuse of a child and lewd acts with an under 14, released from prison in 2019. Rose said the property is within a half a mile of a school, and the residence bus route is also a common route for students. Whether you take the bus north or south from here, you go right by a high school and a junior high school. In the school year, at the wrong time of day, that bus gets filled up with kids. It used to freak me out because I'm surrounded by a bunch of young people. I'm going to get in trouble. Someone's going to make a false claim against me. That was your biggest fear? Your biggest fear is a false... Convicted rapist and landlord of a property in downtown LA, DailyMail.com, gave a tour of his 5-bed home where he currently houses 11 pedophiles. Eugene Hargrove, 77, spent 11 years in prison until 92 for the rape of a woman and forced oral copulation. In his house on East 48th Street, tenants pay $675 per month to live 2 in a sparse room and single beds, all sharing the kitchen and living room. The kitchen's fridge is plastered with house rules, including a ban on phones or laptops in the bathroom and no guests. Copies of Men Health magazine have been neatly placed on the living room coffee table. Stuffed lion and panda toys. Why do pedophiles have toys? Why do pedophiles have stuffed animals? A real python basked under a lamp in a glass box in the corner. Hargrove said he knew some of the tenants were sex offenders placed there by the local parole office, but said he was not aware that their victims were children. I try to provide a nice place for them. The parole department never tell me what their cases are. You don't ask either. You don't ask. They just say, make sure they're registered. I opened up a transition house, and when they come, I'm Mr. Hargrove now. I'm not a prison number anymore. I'm a businessman. Oh, jeez. Look at this. Look, another pedo. Pedo Francisco Santos, 42, had a GPS ankle bracelet on. He claimed his sex offense was a relationship with a 17-year-old whom he married. I'm not a pedophile, not a child molester. In fact, he was convicted of 10 counts of lewd acts with a 14 or 15-year-old and drugging his victim. Denial is at the root cause. Denial is the root cause of every mental illness. Or just you're in denial about that you're a fucking monster. And these people get residential, and these people get homes in California. Not the homeless, not veterans. The home is a few doors down from a preschool and a couple of blocks from an elementary. Neighbors said there are many families on the street, and kids often walk by the house on their way to or from school. Hargrove said the schools were established after he started taking parolees, and they didn't see it as a problem. You don't just grab people and throw them out because they put a school right there. The school is not right in front of this house now. It could be a problem if it was, but it's not. It's way over there, and I was here first. Neighbor Ramon Nolasco, 74, disagrees. Good job, Daily Mail. This is dangerous for families around here. There are lots of families here, many schools. In the morning and afternoon, there are a lot of students walking by here, he said. They should be in other places where there are no families, but the government only talks. They don't do anything. We feel abandoned. Correct. Other properties housing multiple pedophiles were less well kept. DailyMail.com visited a duplex at North Washington Place in Long Beach, where a plastic sheet covering its smashed front window flapped in the wind and a drug dealer was in process upstairs. Megan's Law data says 13 sex offenders, including 8 pedophiles, are registered there. Pedophile Francisco Santos, 42, had a GPS ankle bracelet on. Yeah, I already read this. They sent me to group therapy. We all have to go to a program. I don't like being around it. It's poison to my brain. When somebody says I molested my daughter, I don't want to hear that. That's not your daughter. Is that true? 10 lewd acts, drugged victim with a foreign object, victim underneath with a foreign object. So, yeah, yeah. Another dilapidated Long Beach property in Orange Avenue, home to 4 pedophiles, according to the Megan's Law database. One resident said the sex offender lived among young families. Kind of like living in the Twilight Zone combined with a mental institution and being on the street. Apparently, this woman said there's a lot of dope, a lot of drugs that come from domestic violence. These landlords, they pick up certain types to live in these buildings. It's a lot of convicts, a lot of drug addicts, so they can manipulate them. There's one family in the back. They have a little 6-year-old. Another resident sometimes has his family over. They're around 6 to 8. Definitely pedo bait. Each unit is $1,675. There's 3 of us in a studio. It's about $575 each. Some of these traditional transitional homes, you'd have 6 girls in a studio and bunk beds. The property manager, convicted rapist Kenneth Henderson, 64, said there's never been a problem here, and I've been here going on 9 years. Everybody shares food. There's barbecues. CDCR spokeswoman Terry Thornton said safety was the department's priority. Right. Sure. When dealing with people on active parole supervision, our parole agents across the state work hard to ensure proper supervision. Blah, 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 bullshit. Fucking bullshit. Fucking bullshit. Thornton said all offenders on parole supervision have GPS monitoring. Oh, well, that makes me feel so much better. Guys, don't worry. They got an ankle monitor. Does the monitor shock them, or does it have a bomb like in Suicide Squad? That might be a little different. If they had an ankle monitor on and they started to reoffend and it like blew their foot off, that'd be different. I'd have a different opinion then. Thornton also cited CDCR statistics saying sex offenders are less likely to reoffend. You can't. Oh my God. In the one top part of this article, you said when they live together, they're more likely in a group setting to look at child porn and to feed off of each other's urges, which got them in prison in the first place. But now you're saying statistically, your appeal to authority is they're less likely to reoffend. Well, which is it? The most current 3-year conviction rate we have for all people released from see how they don't want to look at your data, but they want you to look at their data. You see this stupid shit? The most current 3-year conviction rate we have for all people released from prison is 44.6%, and for sex offenders, it is 30.5%. Canadian study from 2004 found child molesters with boy victims outside their families were the type of predator most likely to commit another sex crime at a rate of 35% after 15 years. 2017 U.S. Department of Justice memo cited an analysis of 94 studies which found sex offenders had an overall reoffending rate of 37%, with sexual reoffenses of 14% after 5 or 6 years. Now, are those studies based on them living alone? Wouldn't the percentages go up if they're living in a group? I mean, that's what it said. Fuck it. Well, fuck it. Let's go up. All right. Let's go up. I mean, they said higher up in this article that if they're living together, that increases their chances, right? These guys all have their own little networks, especially online, sadly, on the dark web. It wouldn't be surprising to me if they all tell each other, well, you're looking for a place. This is a place to come to. A lot of these guys look at child porn. If that's available and one shows it to another, they're going to bring those compulsions back for those guys, making it more likely they're going to go out and recommit. There's going to be greater exposure to the stuff that triggers their compulsion, which is discussion of children, pictures of children, child porn, and the like. This kind of situation is going to create an environment where these pedophiles are going to have much greater opportunity because no one's monitoring them. So living together increases the chances of them reoffending and increases the chances of them feeding into their terrible urges. Is that correct? But when I go back down here and they talk about these studies, I'm just curious about the study. Did the studies involve a pedo living by themselves? So is it 37% because they live by themselves? Is that multiplied when they live with 3, 4, 5, 6 other pedos in the same place? Sex offenders are 4 times more likely than other criminals to be rearrested for a sex crime, according to the Justice Department. Researchers also warned that not all reoffenders are caught. You're talking about people who statistically studies show are more likely to reoffend, former pedophile prosecutor Sam Dordulian told DailyMail.com. If they're together, they're just going to create this situation. A lot of the, yeah, so they say the same thing. If that's available, one shows it to the other, they're going to bring those compulsions back for these guys, making it more likely that they're going to recommit. No one cares where they're living, and they're all congregating, as you apparently have discovered, with each other, and it's scary. Yeah, okay. So again, I'm just curious about those studies where they say they're more likely to reoffend, but again, are those studies based on them living alone? So that's my get the fuck out of California. They're coming for the kids. So anyway, I'm big time. Merry Christmas, and keep your pew pew close.